It's time now for our morning rounds. Joining us are CBS News medical contributors Dr. Holly Phillips and Dr. Tara Narula. First up this week, Decoding Autism. Two large new studies identify more than 100 genes linked to autism spectrum disorders. Scientists say the findings are a major turning point in understanding how mutations disrupt nerve networks in the brain. Holly, what did the researchers find?
You know, Anthony, what really makes this study stand out and be so impactful really has to do with its scale, right? So 37 different research institutions from 9 countries came together, and they looked at about 14,000 DNA samples. Wow. So, you know, before there were about 9 genes that we could definitively link with autism. This study identified a total of 33, wow, definitely linked with autism, maybe 70 or 80 probably linked, and 1,000 more possibilities. So they're really honing in on what are the true genetic markers of the disease.
So does that mean that all autism spectrum disorders are caused by faulty genes?
You know, Vanita, truthfully, the thinking right now is that it's going to turn out to be a complex interaction between our genes and the environment. But, you know, I often hear people say, well, if it's genes, that's discouraging because there's nothing we can do about it. But actually, on the contrary, when you identify a gene, you understand how it works, and you understand how it might be damaged or cause autism symptoms. You can really, you know, hone in on biologic treatments that can either reverse those symptoms or prevent them altogether. So that's a good thing. The more genes we identify, the more options we have for treatment.
Tara, does this study help explain why boys seem to have autism disorder more than girls?
It adds a little bit more information, but that still really remains one of the big mysteries around autism, why it affects boys almost 4 times as much as girls. We see this gender disparity in some other neuropsychiatric disorders like attention deficit and dyslexia. There are a lot of theories about why this might be. One has to do with, are we overdiagnosing boys? For instance, boys with autism tend to display more externalizing symptoms like aggression, repetitive behaviors that are easier to pick up on by parents and teachers. Girls tend to display more internal symptoms like shyness, anxiety, or depression. There are other biologic theories that have to do with the sex chromosomes themselves, the X and Y chromosomes, how they're expressed, sex hormones like testosterone, and whether those influence the development of autism. And then what we know in general, and what this study helped show, is that for some reason there is a protective mechanism for females, and that it really takes a big genetic hit, so to speak, a lot of genes and more severe mutations for girls to develop autism than for boys.
Well, heart disease is the leading cause of death for women. A new Canadian study finds women are more likely to ignore symptoms and delay seeking care, and that puts them at greater risk than men. So tell us about this study.
Yeah, so this study basically asked men and women who came to the hospital with chest pain for a procedure, what were the factors that influenced their decision to finally get checked out? And what they found is that there's 6 stages that men and women go through from the time they first experience a symptom to when they seek care. The stages are the same for both genders, but men take a much shorter time in terms of getting to the hospital or getting evaluated, and women have what they termed a longer symptomatic tipping point. It takes them more time to get to the point where they realize, gee, maybe I should really take this seriously.
That makes sense. It
Women are martyrs, right?
Well, what is the reason for them taking longer?
I think there's a combination of things. First of all, unfortunately, as much as we've done education, there is still the impression that this is a man's disease and that women don't get, you know, chest pain or heart disease. And if they do have other subtle symptoms like shortness of breath or fatigue, they may not recognize it. Women tend to be caregivers, so they put everybody else's needs before theirs. They don't want to be out of commission, so to speak, if they have to go to the hospital and not be able to take care of their responsibilities. And then, at least in this study, they displayed more of an optimistic bias than men, feeling, well, it's going to pass, it'll get better. So there's probably several reasons, unfortunately.
Also this week, scientists at Cincinnati Children's Hospital used stem cells to grow 3-dimensional human stomach tissue. They used laboratory-generated mini stomachs to better understand infections. The tissue will be used to study the development of diseases ranging from cancer to diabetes.
A mother from the small city of Madison, Minnesota, faces possible prison time for giving her teenage son medical marijuana for his traumatic brain injury. Angela Brown says she turned to the treatment as a last resort, unable to watch her son suffer any longer. Adriana Diaz sat down with the family that could be split up by the law.
I broke the law, but I did it to save my son.
For years, Angela Brown searched for a way to end her son's chronic pain. 15-year-old Trey Brown looks healthy, but pressure inside his head causes this. Pain stemming from a baseball accident in 2011.
Where were you standing when you got hit?
It's like right over there.
A line drive to Trey's head caused bleeding in an area of his brain the size of a golf ball. Doctors feared he wouldn't survive. But when he finally woke up from a medically induced coma, his mother says the old Trey was gone.
Who is he now?
He's just a shell of himself, but he's in so much pain, and that causes depression.
With depression came daily migraines, muscle spasms, and uncontrollable outbursts like this one.
Oh, please don't hit me. Don't hit me.
I cry like every day before I go to bed. I'll end up crying.
What does it feel like?
Like my brain is like about to blow up.
Hoping to ease his pain, Trey's parents tried 18 different medications, but little helped. Angela believes some of the drug's side effects even made Trey suicidal.
He told me, Mom, I don't want to live. I can't do this anymore.
And what is going through your mind when you're hearing your child say these words to you?
This is not fair. It's not fair. I have been so angry. I begged him, I said, we will find an answer.
Desperate, she began researching the benefits of medical marijuana. The family drove to Colorado and obtained this bottle of cannabis oil. Legal there, but not in Minnesota. Angela says after a few drops, Trey's pain melted away.
Did you think it was a miracle?
Yeah, oh God, yeah. It was a miracle in a bottle.
It stopped the pain and it stopped the muscle spasms. It was like helping me go to school until it got taken away, and then school was really hard again.
Taken away when Trey's teachers asked why he was doing better in school.
I said, well, I gave him an oil that we had gotten from Colorado, derived from the marijuana plant, and then you could feel the tension in the room.
A week later, the sheriff's department confiscated the oil, and county prosecutors charged Angela with child endangerment and requiring child protection. If convicted, she could face up to 2 years in prison and $6,000 in fines.
I was trying to prevent him from being hurt.
But you did get an illegal substance
Yes.
and give it to him.
Illegal substance in Minnesota, not illegal in other states.
CBS News reached out to the county prosecutor, law enforcement, and Trey's school district. All declined our requests for an interview, citing the ongoing case. If Angela does go to jail, she fears most for her children.
Who would take care of my kids? My boys or Mama's boys?
They need you.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I need them. I need them.
It is hard not to be empathetic with that mother in the story. In May, Minnesota became the 22nd state to approve medical marijuana. What other states condone it right now?
Well, there are at least 23 plus D.C., states like New York, California, Michigan, Massachusetts. These are states where you can be issued a medical marijuana card for specific conditions, including intractable chronic pain that's not relieved by other medicines or other treatments. So in her case, if it had been legal in her state at that time, she likely would have been able to get her son qualified and get it in a legal and medical way.
All right. I hope there's a solution to this. Finally, how the selfie can be bad for your health. Russian authorities are warning people about high reports of lice transferred from head to head during group photos. The stubborn parasite, of course, is known for its itchy side effects. Maybe I don't think that's going to end the selfie craze.
I know. Selfies themselves make me itch, just seeing them. So, you know, their lice just adds to it.
Dr. Holly Phillips, Dr. Narula, thank you both as always.